Imagine squeezing Earth's entire 4.5 billion year history into a single 24-hour day. Midnight marks the planet's birth, and the next midnight represents the present moment. On this clock, 1 hour contains roughly 187 million years, 1 minute represents more than 3 million years, and a single second covers about 52,000 years. Mountains rise and disappear between ticks. Oceans open, close, and evaporate in moments. Entire species flourish for minutes and then vanish. Humanity does not enter this story during the morning, afternoon, or even most of the night. We arrive during the final seconds. Everything we call recorded history occupies only a tiny fraction of the last heartbeat before midnight. At the beginning, Earth is nothing like the blue planet we know. It is a young sphere of molten rock, surrounded by poisonous gases and repeatedly struck by debris left over from the formation of the solar system. Its surface churns at temperatures capable of melting stone. There are no oceans, continents, clouds, or living things. The sky is filled with carbon dioxide, sulfur compounds, steam, and dust. This violent period is known as the Hadean Eon, a name inspired by the ancient underworld. It is an appropriate description for a world that appears completely hostile to life. Only minutes into our compressed day, another young world enters the story. Scientists call this hypothetical planet Theia. It may have been approximately the size of Mars, and its orbit carried it into a catastrophic collision with the young Earth. The impact releases unimaginable energy. Large portions of both bodies melt or vaporize, while enormous quantities of material are thrown into orbit. Earth survives, but it is transformed. Its rotation, internal structure, and axial tilt are altered by the collision. The debris surrounding Earth gradually gathers under gravity. Countless fragments collide, melt, and merge until they form a new celestial body, the Moon. At first, the Moon is far closer than it is today and appears enormous in Earth's sky. Over time, it slowly moves outward. Its gravitational influence stabilizes Earth's axial tilt, helping prevent extreme and unpredictable changes in climate. It also creates powerful tides that shape the young planet's coastlines and oceans. One of the most destructive events in Earth's history therefore produces something essential to its future stability. After the impact, the planet remains hot and violent, but space steadily carries its heat away. The surface begins hardening into a dark crust. Volcanoes break through that crust and release gases and water vapor from the interior. Comets and water-rich asteroids may also contribute additional water. Thick clouds accumulate above the cooling rock. Eventually, temperatures fall enough for vapor to condense. Rain begins falling on the scorching surface. The earliest drops evaporate, rise, cool, and fall again. This cycle continues for an immense length of time. Storms rage across the planet, rivers cut through volcanic plains, and water collects inside vast basins. By roughly 4 o'clock on our imaginary clock, Earth possesses permanent oceans. They are probably dark, mineral-rich, acidic, and very different from modern seas. But liquid water has finally covered much of the planet. The surface still looks lifeless, yet deep below the waves, chemistry is becoming increasingly complicated. Around hydrothermal vents, seawater circulates through cracks in the crust, becomes heated, and returns carrying dissolved minerals. These vents create strong gradients of temperature and chemistry. Somewhere in environments like these, or perhaps in shallow pools near the surface, simple compounds begin forming more complicated organic molecules. The exact path from chemistry to biology remains one of science's greatest unanswered questions. At some point, however, molecules capable of storing information and making imperfect copies of themselves become enclosed inside protective membranes. The earliest cells appear. They have no eyes, brains, bones, or organs. Nevertheless, they possess the defining ability of life. They can use energy, maintain themselves, reproduce, and pass information to future generations. For billions of years, Earth belongs almost entirely to microscopic organisms. From a human perspective, very little seems to happen. Beneath that apparent stillness, evolution is continually experimenting. Microbes adapt to heat, pressure, acidity, darkness, and different sources of chemical energy. Mutations create variations, and natural selection preserves the forms most capable of surviving their environment. Every plant, animal, fungus, and human alive today ultimately descends from this ancient microbial world. Around early afternoon on the compressed clock, a group of microorganisms changes the planet. Cyanobacteria develop oxygen-producing photosynthesis. They capture energy from sunlight and use it to manufacture food from water and carbon dioxide. Oxygen is released as a byproduct. For the cyanobacteria, this is a remarkably successful adaptation. For many organisms already living on Earth, it is a disaster. Oxygen reacts easily with other substances. At first, much of it combines with iron dissolved in the oceans, producing iron oxides that settle on the seabed. After these chemical sinks become saturated, oxygen begins accumulating in the atmosphere. Organisms adapted to an oxygen-free world are poisoned or pushed into isolated environments. This transformation, called the Great Oxygenation Event, may represent one of the planet's earliest global biological catastrophes. Yet oxygen also opens a new evolutionary path. It allows cells to extract far more energy from food than most oxygen-free processes. In the distant future, that additional energy will support larger bodies, active movement, nervous systems, and complex brains. Oxygen also contributes to the formation of an ozone layer, which will eventually shield Earth's surface from much of the sun's dangerous ultraviolet radiation. The atmospheric transformation may also weaken the greenhouse effect by reducing methane. Temperatures fall, ice spreads from the poles, and the white surface reflects more sunlight into space. This creates a feedback loop. Additional ice causes further cooling, and further cooling creates still more ice. Earth enters one or more extreme glacial periods remembered as Snowball Earth. Ice may reach tropical regions, covering much of the ocean beneath a frozen shell. Life survives in refuges where liquid water and energy remain available. Microbes persist around hydrothermal vents, beneath thin or fractured ice, and possibly in patches of open water. Meanwhile, volcanoes continue releasing carbon dioxide. Because frozen oceans and reduced rainfall cannot remove it efficiently, the gas accumulates in the atmosphere. Eventually, the greenhouse effect becomes powerful enough to reverse the freeze. As the ice melts, dark ocean water and exposed rock absorb sunlight. Warming accelerates, glaciers retreat, sea levels rise, and weathering washes minerals into the oceans. Conditions following these global freezes may help create new ecological opportunities. Life has endured another planetary crisis, and the survivors inherit a rapidly changing world. A revolutionary partnership also occurs inside the microscopic realm. One cell engulfs another but fails to digest it. Instead, the two organisms begin cooperating. The internal cell provides energy, while the larger host offers protection and resources. Over generations, the partnership becomes permanent. The engulfed cells evolve into structures such as mitochondria, the energy-producing machinery found in complex cells today. A similar process later contributes to chloroplasts in plants and algae. Complex cells are capable of becoming larger and more specialized. Some begin living in colonies. Individual cells take on different responsibilities: movement, feeding, protection, reproduction, or communication. Eventually, these partnerships become true multicellular organisms. For the first time, a living body can contain different tissues working together as one coordinated system. By late evening, the seafloor hosts strange soft-bodied organisms. Many resemble flattened leaves, discs, tubes, or quilted cushions rather than familiar animals. Some remain attached to the bottom, while others creep slowly across microbial mats. Their world is quiet, but a major evolutionary contest is approaching. Once organisms begin eating other organisms, survival increasingly depends on movement, senses, armor, speed, and better methods of attack. During the Cambrian explosion, animal diversity expands dramatically in the geological record. Creatures develop hard shells, jointed limbs, eyes, mouths, digestive systems, and specialized ways of moving. Trilobites travel across the seabed in armored bodies. Worm-like animals burrow through sediment. Early arthropods swim above them. Predators such as Anomalocaris pursue prey using grasping appendages and complex eyes. Predation creates an evolutionary arms race. Better hunters favor faster or more heavily defended prey. Improved defenses encourage predators to develop stronger jaws, sharper senses, and new hunting strategies. Evolution is no longer producing only variations of simple stationary bodies. It is generating active ecosystems filled with pursuit, concealment, competition, and escape. The oceans remain the center of animal life. Early vertebrates appear, initially protected by external armor and lacking true jaws. Later species evolve jaws from modified skeletal structures near the gills. This innovation transforms feeding. Fish can bite, grasp, crush, and tear instead of merely filtering or sucking in food. Powerful marine predators emerge, while other fish develop fins and internal skeletons that give them greater control in the water. For most of Earth's history, the continents have been barren. Ultraviolet radiation, unstable soils, and the absence of fresh water make the land hostile. The development of the ozone layer reduces radiation at the surface. Simple plants and fungi begin spreading along wet shorelines. Roots stabilize sediment, organic material creates soil, and plant cover gradually transforms empty rock into new habitats. Arthropods become some of the earliest animals to establish themselves on land. Their external skeletons help prevent water loss, and their jointed limbs work well outside the ocean. Insects, spiders, millipedes, and scorpion-like creatures diversify among the expanding vegetation. Vertebrates follow more slowly. Some fish living in shallow, oxygen-poor water already possess strong fins and primitive lungs. Those adaptations help their descendants push through swamps and across muddy ground. Over generations, limb bones strengthen, digits develop, and reproduction becomes less dependent on open water. The first tetrapods still remain close to rivers and wetlands, but their descendants move farther inland. The invention of the amniotic egg gives embryos a protected watery environment inside a shell. Reptile ancestors can now reproduce away from ponds, opening vast dry regions to vertebrate life. During the Carboniferous period, enormous swamp forests spread across the continents. Giant club mosses, horsetails, and fern-like trees rise above humid wetlands. Dead vegetation falls into oxygen-poor water, where it decomposes slowly. Layer after layer becomes buried and compressed. Over geological time, much of this material becomes the coal that humans will burn during the final instant of Earth's day. Atmospheric oxygen rises to levels higher than today. Arthropods can grow to extraordinary sizes because their respiratory systems function more effectively in oxygen-rich air. Dragonfly relatives with broad wings patrol the forests, while giant millipede-like animals cross the ground. Amphibians thrive in the wetlands, and reptiles continue adapting to drier habitats. The continents eventually unite into the supercontinent Pangaea. Its enormous interior lies far from the moderating influence of the sea. Deserts expand, seasons become severe, and ecosystems face growing stress. Then immense volcanic eruptions begin in the region that will become Siberia. Lava spreads across vast areas over repeated episodes, releasing carbon dioxide and other gases. Global temperatures rise. Oceans warm and lose oxygen. Acidification damages marine organisms, while disrupted food webs collapse on land. The Permian mass extinction, known as the Great Dying, eliminates most marine species and a large proportion of terrestrial vertebrates. Ecosystems that took millions of years to develop disappear. Forests vanish, oceans become increasingly hostile, and the planet seems close to losing complex life. A few lineages survive in scattered refuges. Small body size, flexible diets, burrowing behavior, and the ability to endure extreme conditions become valuable. Once the crisis passes, survivors expand into the empty ecological roles left behind. Among them are archosaurs, members of the broader group that will produce crocodilians, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs. The first dinosaurs are not yet enormous rulers. Many are relatively small, lightly built animals moving on two legs. Their upright posture places their limbs beneath their bodies, making movement more efficient than the sprawling stance of many competitors. As ecosystems recover, dinosaurs diversify into herbivores, omnivores, and predators. Pangaea begins breaking apart. New coastlines and seas appear, climates change, and isolated populations evolve in different directions. Dinosaurs spread across the separating continents. Some become colossal long-necked herbivores capable of reaching vegetation high above the ground. Others develop horns, armor, clubs, thick skulls, or herding behavior for defense. Predatory dinosaurs evolve their own specialized weapons. Some rely on speed and agility, while others use powerful jaws and heavy bodies. Small feathered dinosaurs take a different path. Feathers may first serve insulation or display, but certain species begin gliding and eventually achieve powered flight. Their descendants survive into the modern world as birds. Near the end of the dinosaur era, Tyrannosaurus rex becomes one of the most formidable terrestrial predators. It combines a massive skull, reinforced bones, strong neck muscles, and teeth capable of crushing through bone. It lives alongside horned dinosaurs and other large animals in a rich Cretaceous ecosystem. Dinosaurs have dominated terrestrial environments for more than 160 million years, and nothing in their daily world suggests their reign is about to end. At 11:39 p.m. on the compressed clock, an asteroid roughly 10 kilometers across approaches Earth. Moving many times faster than sound, it becomes a brilliant fireball as it tears through the atmosphere. It strikes near the present-day Yucatan Peninsula. The impact releases energy on a scale far beyond any weapon created by humanity and excavates the enormous Chicxulub crater. Near the impact site, rock and water vaporize almost instantly. A blast wave destroys landscapes over a vast distance. Earthquakes shake the planet, and enormous tsunamis cross the surrounding seas. Material thrown high above the atmosphere falls back toward Earth, heating as it re-enters. The sky glows, and fires ignite across large areas. The immediate destruction is only the beginning. Dust, soot, and sulfur compounds spread through the atmosphere and reduce the sunlight reaching the surface. Temperatures fall, photosynthesis collapses, plants die, and food chains fail from the bottom upward. Large animals requiring enormous amounts of food are particularly vulnerable. Non-avian dinosaurs disappear, along with many marine and terrestrial species. Not everything dies. Birds, crocodilians, turtles, insects, fish, and many small animals survive. Among the survivors are tiny mammals that shelter in burrows, eat varied foods, reproduce relatively quickly, and regulate their internal temperature. Their smallness, once a limitation in a world dominated by dinosaurs, becomes an advantage during the catastrophe. When the atmosphere clears and sunlight returns, Earth's ecosystems begin rebuilding. With the dominant dinosaurs gone, mammals enter ecological roles that were previously unavailable. Some become fast-running grazers or powerful predators. Others grow to enormous sizes. Certain mammals return to the sea and eventually evolve into whales. Primates develop grasping hands, forward-facing eyes, and flexible behavior while living among tree branches. Much later, climate change transforms parts of Africa. Forests retreat and open grasslands expand. Some primates spend increasing amounts of time on the ground. Walking upright allows them to see over tall vegetation and frees their hands for carrying food, tools, and children. These ancestors remain physically vulnerable, but intelligence and cooperation provide new forms of protection. Stone becomes a cutting edge. Wood becomes a digging stick or spear. Knowledge is learned, improved, and passed between generations. The control of fire provides warmth, protection, light, and cooked food. Cooking makes many foods easier to digest and increases the usable energy obtained from them. Social groups gather around flames, share resources, care for children, and communicate with growing complexity. By 1159 and 58 seconds, Homo sapiens appears. Humans spread out of Africa and adapt to deserts, forests, coastlines, mountains, and frozen landscapes. They make clothing, construct shelters, hunt cooperatively, and create art. Language allows information to accumulate beyond the experience of a single individual. Each generation can begin with knowledge inherited from those who came before. During the final fraction of a second, agriculture changes human life. Communities cultivate plants and domesticate animals. Villages become towns, and towns grow into cities. Writing allows laws, trade, history, and administration to extend across time and distance. Civilizations rise around rivers. Kingdoms and empires expand, compete, and disappear. Human progress accelerates. Metal replaces stone, engines replace muscle, and electricity transforms the night. Industry draws energy from coal and oil created by ancient life. Medicine extends lives, machines cross oceans and skies, and rockets escape Earth's gravity. Humans walk on the moon that was born from the ancient collision with Theia. Computers and global networks connect billions of people almost instantly. All human triumphs and tragedies occupy only the closing instant of Earth's day. In that brief moment, our species has altered rivers, forests, oceans, and the atmosphere. We have become powerful enough to study the planet's past and influence its future, but not powerful enough to escape the consequences of our choices. Earth has survived impacts, global freezes, volcanic disasters, and mass extinctions. Life repeatedly recovered, although the recovery required millions of years and produced worlds very different from those that existed before. The planet does not depend on humanity for its survival. Humanity depends completely on the narrow range of conditions the planet currently provides. The 24-hour clock has now reached midnight. A new day begins, and its story has not yet been written. Whether humanity becomes a short-lived geological layer or a species capable of protecting its only home will be determined during the next few ticks. We arrived at the end of an ancient journey, but we now possess something no earlier species had: the ability to understand that journey and choose what hap.